Okay, good morning, everybody. So welcome to Monday morning. So I thought, didn't really have a plan for this morning, and then I just thought, actually, there's something I have been interested in, which I'd like to explore as a topic, and I've called it Buddhism and safety culture. So, I was just struck by, I was just watching the other day a video where somebody was, the title of the video was comparing the kind of fatality rate of flu with COVID-19, and it was about a 10-minute video, and they went through all these figures and everything. And at the end, what they didn't do was just make a statement about it. Like say, well, actually, so you're twice as likely to die of COVID as you are of flu. And they didn't make a conclusion about it, which might be something like, well, so, in a way, it's not adding that much to the kind of burden already, and therefore, what conclusions can you draw from that? So I think it's this sort of, I think on the one hand, people can sort of say too much or offer too many opinions. And then on the other hand, people can say nothing. They can sort of just state a load of facts and then not offer an opinion. And I think both of those things are kind of going too far to extremes, to have an opinion on everything, even though you don't really know the facts or anything like that, is one extreme. And to not offer an opinion, even though you might know quite a lot of things, is another. So I think the theme maybe is about taking responsibility, and I suppose like getting into dialogue about the reality of things, So it used to be the case that very few buildings would have, say, some sort of disabled ramp or anything like that. And it's great for disabled people to have that everywhere these days. And even it's written into kind of law, that you've got to, planning applications, you've got to have this, that, the other. And we're living in a world of like limited resources, and particularly since 2008, it's like it's not all that certain about how things are going to go, with the world's economy and everything. But do people actually look at that? Like how can we actually afford it? Can we afford to have disabled ramps everywhere, or whatever it is, whatever the safety thing is, or so it feels a little bit like the world is kind of is sticking its head in the sand a little bit, around realities, the reality of the limitations. I spoke about limitations on Friday, the limitations of what can and cannot happen, and maybe as Buddhists, to the extent that you are Buddhist, it's like what we wanted to do is look after everybody and kind of make sure that everybody does as well as they can and all that sort of thing. But in a way, it can turn into something can take over, which is like not really using Buddhist ideas, but it becomes a bit of a dogma or something. So dogmas are always not a good idea, really, because if you have a dogma, you'll have people who are sort of seeing that as a dogma and then who are reacting against it, or and then you've got conflicts. So I think you've got to be able to explain why things out. You've got to be reasonable with people and explain why, give them all the reasons why something's a good idea, but also make them aware that you're aware that, you're aware that, well, maybe we can't afford this or something, or it's desirable, but we can't afford it, or so something's taken over really, and I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable about it, but they can't quite voice it, what it is, So I think, I'd like to talk about this a bit later on, or explore it anyway. I'll think about it. Okay, so a bit late this morning. I didn't get to bed till midnight. I just couldn't get to sleep very easily. So, but I didn't get up for 7:30. So here we are, 9 o'clock. So we'll start with some body work. So just swinging your arms forwards and backwards. Just loosening up the body in preparation for meditation. And rotating your hips. Try to keep mind and body together, so it's not like your body's ahead of your mind or your mind's ahead of your body, but in the same place. And you might need to slow down to do that. Being aware of the sensations that you're experiencing as your clothing touches your skin or the air. Any sounds you can hear. Sensations in your body as your body changes shape. Sorry, just be back a bit. It's my electric meter. Okay, so rotating your hips. And then do this sort of movement, so we're as if we're kind of pushing a weight across and twisting and stretching. And do this side. Looks like twisting, holding it there. Okay. So, yeah, twisting around spine as much as you can, just holding it there. And shake everything out. I think that'll do for today. So taking up your meditation posture. So just getting used to this new position. And settling into your posture, so allowing the ground and the wherever you're sitting on to be more like welcoming your weight. So this morning we're going to do a mindfulness of breathing practice. First of all, we're going to just go through what our situation is at the moment. And bring some awareness to that. So firstly, being aware that your life is taking place in time and space. So having a sense of the time, when this is. So roughly 9 o'clock in the morning in the UK, 16th of November. So having a sense of your life up to this point, all the moments you've experienced. So sometimes we experience life as a bit like lacking. We have a bit of a poverty mentality. Oh, I've not got this, I've not got that. And it's often suggested that the antidote to that is a sense of gratitude. But in order to have gratitude, I think we often just need to actually be aware of what we've got, our situation. So I think just being aware of time helps us do that. We see the kind of richness of our experience, the fact that we have time. That there is plenty that we have experienced and can appreciate. And to the extent that we survive the future, there will be plenty that we can appreciate in the future. So as well as being aware of the past and the future, being aware of the present moment, which is where our experience is actually happening. So as well as existing in time, our lives also exist in space. Having a sense of the universe, where we are in space. So we're sitting on the Earth, which is a huge ball of matter, flying through space. we might reflect that Earth over millions of years used to be just a molten rock, and then the surface kind of cooled down over time, and so you've had the kind of stability come into things, and mountain ranges and oceans and have formed, but there's still this kind of underlying over a long time kind of instability, it can get hit by other objects in the universe. There's nothing there we can actually in the long term take for granted. So a sense of appreciation of the stability that we have at the moment that allows life to exist on the Earth. That we live in a world of change, even though that change might be quite slow on a global scale. And things also change, come and go on a biological level. So you get mutations happening, and organisms that develop or die out. New diseases or viruses appear, and then you also get invention, people inventing antidotes. So it's a state of flux. I'm maybe trying to feel gratitude for the positive medical conditions that we do have. That there won't ever be a time where things are just stop and are fixed. So being aware of the earth and the what's covering the earth, mountain ranges and oceans, farmland and jungle and cities, deserts. And what's going on in our particular corner of the world where we are right now. The environment that we're in, the building that we're in. And again, maybe just have some sense of appreciation and gratitude for the positive conditions that are supporting us in this place. At the moment. So yeah, just looking at the physical conditions that we're in, and having a sense of gratitude for those. You know, to the extent any of this is the case, maybe just appreciating it. So just for now, for today, I have a roof over my head. For today, I have water in the tap, electricity in the meter, food in the fridge. Today, I am healthy to this extent, to the extent that I am healthy. Today, I have these social conditions that are supporting me. So now just taking our attention to the structure of our body. So this is another aspect of the way things are. We have a body, it has a structure to it. It has bones that support the body's weight and muscles that move it about, organs that keep it alive. So tuning into the reality of your body, the structure of your body, and working with that so that if you can just balance your spine, realizing that the weight of the body then will go down as directly as it can into the cushion or chair and the ground, and that you won't need to hold on. If you can get a balance like that, and that over time, once they realize they're going to be supported, the muscles of your body can begin to let go and relax. And you can just allow that process to continue through the meditation. And then beginning to take your attention onto the sensations of your breathing. But before you begin, I just notice how you're feeling at the moment. Include that in the meditation. And then just picking up on what you notice in the detail of your breath. Is there anything specific that you can say is happening in each moment? Slight bit of sensation on your lips as you breathe out in a particular place, and then notice the feeling of your shoulders rising as you breathe in. Just trying to notice detail from one moment to the next. Because if you can see what the detail is in your breath, it's going to be hard for you to know what the detail is in other things like your thoughts or what's going on outside. So it's just a good way of, in a way, kind of keeping yourself to a certain experience and then being able to have a rest from your concerns. So what's happening in this moment with your breath, and then the next moment and the next. So we're going to do mindfulness of breathing without any stages for 15 minutes. And I will keep reminding us what we're doing. So following the detail of the breath, mindfulness of breathing. So if any time you get a bit lost, just come back to the next bit of detail in your breath and pick it up from there. So what's happening in this moment, the next moment, and the next? So if you can say that you know what detail is there in your breath in a moment, then you are being aware. If you can't say that, it's hard to say that you're being aware. You might just be being vague.
So in a minute, I'm going to bring this meditation to a close. So you're starting to be aware of your body and the world outside of detail of the breath. How are you feeling? Becoming more aware of the sounds outside. And in your own time, just bring your meditation to a close. Okay. So, yes, I said a bit about today's topic at the beginning. Buddhism and was it safety culture? Something like that. Safety culture, something like that. I'm not all that massively prepared for this, so I need to maybe talk myself into the theme a bit. So what I was saying was that I was watching this YouTube thing about the fatality rates of flu and COVID-19. And what happened was the guy, he gave all this data, and it was all very detailed data and all that. But then what he didn't do at the end was to give the conclusion. It's like the obvious conclusion that it wasn't like COVID was, in terms of fatality, was 10 times as dangerous as flu. It was only 2 times as dangerous, So he was like a scientist, and he was giving the facts and all that, but then holding back from any opinion on it, And then what you have in the world as well is like people who haven't really got access to the facts, or don't maybe understand the science that well, or something like that, and then they're just offering like opinions like wildly with a lot of certainty. So I just want to explore this area, so Buddhism has this doctrine of non-self. Well, there's three marks to conditioned existence that which is just life as we know it for an unenlightened person. So it's things are impermanent. They are not satisfactory because they're impermanent. Whatever happiness that they bring us will last, and they're insubstantial. So there's nothing like permanent behind the changing experience that's there of the phenomena that we're observing. So for instance, there's no me that's permanent in here, that's separate from my body and my feelings and my mental states and my changing intentions, all of the things that go to make up a human being, my perceptions and all that sort of thing, they're all conditioned. So they're all being conditioned by things, by each other. So my feelings, how I feel, which is just pleasure and pain, is probably conditioned by what I think about. If I think like people hate me or something, then I'm going to feel bad. If I think that I'm God's gift to mankind, I'm going to feel good. That sort of thing. It's like whatever one thing conditions another. Our mood, for instance, can be conditioned or is conditioned by all sorts of things. So we can feel very motivated about something and really want to get on with it, or we can feel unmotivated and procrastinate and sit around and not do something. So that's just because that motivation is conditioned. It's conditioned by maybe we have doubts we're going to get anywhere or whatever it is. So this world of conditions means the fact that this is the nature of things, according to the Buddha. This means that when we come back to a kind of reference to ourself, which we're always doing, then it's almost like we're wanting things to stop, and we're wanting things to just stop and be all right, because it's ourself that's looking for this this imagined, permanent self that's looking for reassurance and stability that things aren't going to keep on changing. But if we can have a view where we let go of that idea, and I think we only really let go when we have a kind of strong kind of sense of insight within our Buddhism. We stop relying on things being we stop wanting things to stop and be permanent, because we just realize that isn't the nature of how everything is, yeah, so I think what we're often doing, and thinking in terms of things like politics and that, opinions about ourselves. We're wanting to stop things to stop in a way which we have this, good opinion about ourselves, or people like us, or and it's kind of it's self-orientated. It's all about us, really. So, for instance, when we're doing loving kindness meditation practice, there can be a part of us that's doing it for the right reasons, for good reasons, like the reason, the fact that, the good reason is the fact that all beings want to be happy and not suffer. So if we can get behind that and help them with that, then we're going to bring about happiness and not suffering for ourselves and others. So this is the pure aspect of the metta bhavana. It's what it's about. It's about our emotions getting kind of behind ourselves and others as beings, and then letting that passion sort of drive change, positive change, informed by awareness. So we start to become aware that people are people around us. They're not objects. They're not, that they are sensitive to their own experience and not insensitive to it. So that we then actually want to give them a better experience from what we do around them. So this is the kind of pure, in inverted commas, aspect of metta, loving kindness. But I suppose there's a kind of impure aspect to it, or there can be, which is where we kind of, what we're interested in is our image of ourselves, and as a caring person, so we want other people to think, to have a positive appreciation of us, and think, oh yeah, they're nice, they're a nice person, sort of thing. So like when it comes to things like health and safety culture, so well, this is, I don't know when this all started, but it's crazy that you get people who aren't Buddhists ending up kind of dictating to a bunch of Buddhists who are about what to do, what they should be doing in terms of looking after people, in terms of health and safety, so it's like something becomes concretized or something. And like this happened in, I was listening to Melvin Bragg's In Our Time. I think it was the episode was about the papacy. And what he was saying was that if you went back to, like, say, 900 AD, whatever, Christian era, CE, then in terms of religion, your religion in Britain would be about your connection, your personal connection with, your God, or whatever you saw as your high power sort of thing. So it'd be about, in a way, it'd be about you and your conscience. What your conscience representing that sense of what's right and what's wrong and all that sort of thing. So it would always be a kind of heartfelt connection that you were looking for as the important thing. But then what happened was, with the papacy becoming more stronger and more powerful and everything, and they start to become, the Pope starts to become an intermediary between you and your God. So that it was like the papacy started to decide what was sin and what wasn't sin. So it wasn't about you and what felt right or didn't feel right in terms of your connection with the high power. It became almost like kind of legalized or something. And so you could then, kind of go to the priest and get absolved of things and all that sort of thing. But I suppose, the only, if you go back to the 9th century, it's like the only absolution, or whatever the word is, you get would be if you kind of confess that thing, particularly in relation to your God. So, and then you kind of know when you've done it, really. So there's something about, when you start to bring law into things, it's this extra step which maybe kind of gets in the way of the real thing. So maybe what's happened is health and safety culture has been brought in, and it's this legal step that's kind of slightly in the way of us, us and our real response to looking after each other. So I just think it's really important that we don't have an intermediary, between ourselves and our conscience. That it's up to us. Once you start forcing people to do things through law, then it's like you're de-emphasizing that sense of it having to come from them, come from their heart, that they want. If you start dictating through law that you've got to be compassionate or something like that, then it's almost like people can start to build up a resentment about being compassionate. So what you need to do is to just help people to see that being compassionate is a good thing in itself, not that they have to do it in order to obey the law or something. Yeah. So I think when it comes to the pandemic and the media, kind of social media, YouTube and all that, and what I've noticed is that I live on my own, and I have done since the pandemic began, and at times it gets kind of grindingly kind of the same and all that sort of stuff. And one of the things I ended up doing quite a bit was to just watching the news on the COVID latest and all that sort of thing. And it's just I don't have a television, so it's just endlessly the same stuff, every day. It's the same old things, it's going up in America. Oh, there's more COVID cases than yesterday. Well, big news, So it's like there's something about this where it's it's like there's some sort of, so this is like one view, you know, there's this kind of belief that like information is enough. Information is enough. If you just tell people to what's the case, then that's going to be enough to help things move on, you know. But what's been noticeable has been the kind of like lack of discussion, lack of proper discussion about things, you know, about it's almost like people are kind of offering their opinions, but they're not. There's not a kind of I can't really see much of a kind of real debate happening, and I think that's probably because people don't really know how to do that. I imagine, you know, because there's kind of confusion there in the views about things, you know. So particularly around things like science and personal ethics. So if you know, there's a kind of, I don't know. I said in one of my previous talks about the thing about first-person experience and third-person experience. The first-person experience is like what is your subjective experience, you know, what you can say about your own experience. So nobody has access to that apart from you, by definition. You know, it's first person, me, you know. And then third person experience is where you know, you get a scientist comes along, measures something, you know, might observe, say, what I'm doing, you know, am I ill or not? You know, do I have a fever? You know, and then they go measure somebody else, and then they put figures together and come up with something that's scientifically objective. But those two things are completely separate. You know, what I decide for myself is the case, and what science can say about the world by observing it from the outside, you know. So when we present something which is scientific, say on YouTube about COVID or whatever, then we're dealing with third person experience, you know, like, but it's like if you want to convince people of doing something, like say wearing masks, you don't do it. I don't think you do it through presenting evidence to them, really, you know, because that's third person experience. What you got to do is to get into their heart and convince them of something, you know, that you know, that it would matter to them if they saw the people around them dying and all that sort of thing. What seems to be happening is like people are not really doing that. They're not really getting into people's hearts. And I think, I mean, what I've experienced recently is having, I've been pretty busy through the pandemic with doing videos and things. And I have had breaks, and I've been on retreats online and things, but I've sort of slightly done it. I've not had complete breaks where I've just switched everything off and done a solitary retreat in my flat, you know. But I did that recently, and where I just switched all my phones and computers and everything off, and just kind of stayed in my flat and read a book, moved from one room to another. And I think what the effect of that has been is to be, I do feel more tuned into myself and what I might want and what I might feel and all that sort of thing. And no matter how much input I've had from social media about COVID-19 and all that sort of thing, I think the thing that's helped most of all is this kind of heart connection with myself, to actually stop and, you know, come down to, well, what do I really want, or what do I really feel, or whatever it is. So so it's like, yeah, to make for things to change, we've got to get right into people's hearts, you know, and that's what you see, you know, when you see people around the, you know, people who are kind of in religions have been sort of influential and stuff, and that's what they're doing. They're kind of getting right into people's hearts, and they go, you know, they're kind of touching them, you know. And in terms of Buddhism, you can think of the Dalai Lama's doing that. But in Christianity, I think Pope Francis is doing that as well. You know, he's getting into people's hearts, and that's the important thing, you know. So I'd really like to have some sort of discussions around safety culture and health and safety culture and all that sort of thing, and that does that actually gets right into which kind of into people's hearts, you know, like, well, what are the issues here, and sometimes there'll be things that aren't possible, you know. So, you know, we live in a wealthy culture. Well, it's hard to know what sort of culture we live in, really, because, you know, from the 50s onwards, it's like there's this kind of consumerism and things getting better, you know, for people generally. But it's hard to know whether we haven't kind of like peaked or something. Are things going to get worse, go backwards, or what, you know? But we're certainly living in an age where we've got so much. Lots of people in the West have got so much more than they've ever had, you know, in terms of resources and things. You know, it used to be kind of rare to have like avocados, but there's everywhere. Everything's everywhere, really, because of technology. You know, just makes it possible. You know, Amazon and all that. But I think there's also a sort of anxiety there that, you know, because an anxiety can come about even when things are going well, because we worry about things ending. You know, there's things that are going well ending. This is one aspect of dukkha, unsatisfactoriness. It's the, you know, the type that worries about things coming to an end, even though when they're doing well. So yeah, so I think we need to sort of face the limitations that are often on things. You know, it's not possible for every single building to have a disabled ramp at the front of it, and what about? I mean, we used to. Well, we at the Buddhist Centre, if somebody turned up in a wheelchair, we'd lift them up the steps. You know, so there's a certain thing about just helping each other. You know, just doing what we can to help each other, and not relying on sort of legal structures to do that. You know, where we you know, I think for me as a Buddhist, I want people to be stepping in and helping each other because they want to, not because there's some law saying that they should do. You know, and I think that can be quite dangerous, in that it's a dangerous substitute. You know, we actually need people to be caring for each other, because that's when things go really pear-shaped, is when they, you know, they stop doing that. So anyway, it's been a bit of a ramble, and have we got anything more to say? Yeah, I think it's like I'm gradually get back into these sessions. Often it takes a bit of warming up. I've done a week last week, and yeah. So anything that you want to explore, maybe put it in the chat or something, and I want to try and have some discussions and get other people involved as well. It was good doing those meet the order sessions before, so maybe might get Dan Bandy to do something one morning. I know he's here. Hi. Yeah, and I want to start making these like little short videos, little punchy videos, and get some debate going about various things. I think in general, I do feel a little bit, quite a bit lighter. I think partly because I got my pension, and that's a relief to have that. But the fact that this vaccine seems to be going to be effective, that's good from my point of view. And maybe there might be some sort of end to, well, there will be some sort of end. There is an end to everything, isn't there? So there'll be a point at which we'll be able to move about again and go into the countryside and camp and all that sort of thing. Meet each other and stuff, so yeah. Okay, well, thanks everybody, and I'll see you on Wednesday. All right, bye.